Alright, let's see now. I'm almost done here, actually. Let's have a look. Hello, Esther. Good evening. Thanks for dropping by. Who knows, it might just be you and me tonight. I don't know about you, but things feel very strange to me. Very, very strange. But then again, strange is normal for me. That's my world. So I just marked out a couple of notes here for June. And I'll go over them in a minute. Let me just say hi. I've got some of my notes here, which I will convey to you. And let me just say hello. Where am I? I know I'm here somewhere. Yes. Hi, Esther, over there. I guess you're over in Buffalo. Probably very different weather to here, right? Like right now, over here, this is Las Vegas, and the house is somewhere like around here. And up here is the Nellis Air Force Base, so it's all blacked out. Hello, Love Schreiber. And this is the week that everything changed, of course, with the weather. We're now in the hundreds, and it's going to be that way for the next 4 or 5 months. So it's a question of getting used to it. It's very strange. It's very hard on the physical body. Some people love it. I think it's dangerous. But anyway, we adapt. We have different ways. There's pros and cons. Let me see. So I hope you're well. I don't know about you, but you've probably, let's just say, you've been feeling lots of significant change happening recently. Some of it is quite stressful. A lot of people are, let's say, unaccountably freaking out. And they don't know what it is or why. I mean, the healthcare issues are exploding all over the country, especially with things like depression, different types of psychosis, anxiety, all these symptoms that are to do with stress, from being stressed out to the maximum. And I was trying to figure out an analogy. I don't know if any of you have been burgled or assaulted, our house is broken into, and things like that. It's happened to me quite a few times. Apartment trashed, totally trashed with, crowbars and doors ripped open, everything shredded, destroyed, and a few items stolen. It's very, very, very disturbing, very unsettling when you're just living your life and you arrive back to your house and you realize, oh my God, we got burgled, robbed. And I'm getting the same feelings that I've had in the past when I've been burgled and robbed, and I discover it. So I'm thinking, well, what's the analogy? Why am I getting this? Well, I think it's because I've been burgled. I've been robbed. Think about it. There is our holy leadership over there in Washington, D.C., pulling all the strings, doing what they do. They've been getting away with it since 1913, and they have refined and purified and expanded their scam operation for decades. And they're doing it because they can. A lot of it is because good people, it's happening because good people don't know how to stop it, and they acquiesce, and they just kind of go along with it because they give up because they realize it's impossible to control. There are a certain handful of elites that literally pull all the strings and control everything, especially financially. I consider the United States dollar and the United States Federal Reserve system, banking system, the central banking system of the world based on debt and fiat currencies, to be the most powerful, most dangerous weapon on earth. Yes, there's nuclear weapons, and they're absolutely hideous, and they're used in, obviously, war. But the type of weapon I'm talking about is a covert weapon. And ever since January 2020, the system has been in extreme overdrive. The elites have unleashed multiple different strategies and tactics to get what they want and do what they want. Basically, they want power and money and control. They don't have any of their own. They get it from you by stealing it. The covert theft is a very long, slow, subtle process of inflation over decades, where the original value of the dollar goes from here down to here, down to here, down to here, simply because the central banks and the federal government have sickly policies where they give themselves permission to simply print money through issuing debt. It's a very complicated, but it's also in some ways very simple scam, and it works extremely well for the elites. At the same time, so when they print all that money, the value of your dollar goes down and down and down and down and down, and the prices of everything effectively go up and up and up and up. What does that mean? If you're an asset owner and you're heavily vested in the United States stock market, for example, then the S&P 500 has basically gone up on the same trajectory for decades. It goes like this, okay? Now that trajectory is the same as the trajectory for the printing of money. It's an extremely tight match if you look for the files and the right charts and the right data and information. And so you have to, there's only one conclusion that you can draw, and that is how the asset prices go from here to here in direct correlation with the printing of money. So the people who own the assets, in other words, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, Blackstone, Fidelity, all the big monster multi-trillion-dollar asset managers. They own it all. Like if you, let's say you got a pile of money and you worked and you had a job or something and you want to start saving and putting it away, you put it into retirement savings accounts, insurances, IRAs, 401ks and all of that. It all funnels back into a handful of owners. That's the ones that I just mentioned. And they pump it all into the S&P 500. So when you look at Warren Buffett and his holdings, it's things like Apple, Coca-Cola, Microsoft, and so on and so on. And some of these corporations don't have any intrinsic value in terms of like something amazing just happened. In other words, you don't have to be a genius to grow your portfolio if you own the S&P 500 index as part of your portfolio. Because on the short term, yes, it looks very, very scary. The stock market does this, oh. But over the long term, it just goes, and they've been doing it for decades. The problem is that game is coming to an end because people are starting to hello, Mr. Ross, good evening. People are starting to figure out, man, how do they do this? So if you go on YouTube or study finance, you'll understand the game and how it works. So we've reached the point where billions of people around the earth now have now figured out the game. They now understand, oh, we're being played. It's through inflation. It's through fiat currencies, through the central bank system. And all of it has to comply with the United States Federal Reserve Bank and the Federal Reserve banking system, which is all owned by these elites that I mentioned, especially the bankers. So you start to figure out, wait a minute, what's actually going on here? They're not doing this for your benefit or my benefit. They're doing it for their benefit. Because if you've noticed, the price of gasoline has gone up and up and up and up. The price of food has gone up and up and up and up. And it's not just me complaining here in America. It's all over the world. Everywhere on earth, okay? It's not just American inflation, it's global inflation. And the elites have realized, wow, we can do this game across the whole freaking planet. Oh, I see, Esther. Thank you very much. Got it. Yeah. Give me a second, Esther. All right, so I mean, I've been aware of this phenomenon for a long time. I understand how it works. I've never been able to participate because to be able to participate, you have to be comfortable with the fraud and participating with it. And I never had, it also helps if you have things like steady employment and savings and disposable income that you can put into these systems. And I never really had that in a way that was effective. And so I have always been way far out on the margins. And I never trusted the elites or their institutions or the Fed or the banks in the first place. I never ever did. Ever since I was a young child, I was aware of these really deceptive, evil phenomena. As I grew up over the years, I became more like an adult, and it didn't make much difference. I was a very popular prey as a child, but I became just as popular as an adult, and I got robbed and assaulted. I don't know how many times. Anyway, it gets really old after a while, so my core nature has changed a lot, and I'm very much more insular now. I live much more like this because partly I'm very scared. I'm scared of humans. I'm scared of people. I'm scared of crowds. I'm scared of anybody that comes near me. I can still be very gregarious and sociable, which is my core nature, but I usually have to check that and hold it back and realize, oh, wait a minute, you're setting yourself up. Oops. So here I am today, and I kept thinking, why am I feeling this extreme jittery uneasiness? I look at the charts, I see the issues regarding global finance. We've talked about that for years, how it's accelerated and expanded, becoming more and more treacherous. We all understand we're being inflated into poverty, and it's sort of like an end game that's happening, where the whole system of fiat money is becoming so precarious that the whole global fiat system is going like this. It's not just America, it's not just China or different countries in Europe or Argentina or Zimbabwe. The whole system, the whole global financial system has been inflated to the point where it has nowhere else to go but. So that scares me. But that's not going to stop the elites from continuing to play their game. And so what I realized is that, like with other themes that we've talked about on the channel, the closer and closer and closer the elites get to you in order to extract what they want from you, the more and more likely they are to be perceived or noticed. And so they have to put on a more and more convincing facade of reality and compassion, honesty, truth, and caring, and so on and so on. In fact, we know, with very hard evidence, that their true agenda is based on fraud, deception, lies, betrayal, theft, blackmail, murder, corruption, disease, and the perpetuation of all those evil things through mechanisms that work for them at your expense. But it's accelerating. The process is accelerating because the elites are desperate, and all they care about is power, money, and control. And when they get desperate, they start to do desperate things. And in the process of doing desperate things, they're becoming very, very exposed. And the smell and the stench of their evil is starting to spread all over the world, and it's nasty. And what I realized, I feel scared and sickly inside, because I realized not only am I a victim and being victimized like you, like everybody here, unless you're one of the elites, and I doubt you are if you were watching this channel, you have been harvested. Your energy has been harvested since you were born, through your whole life. You don't know it, but it has. Systematically harvested through things like taxes and so on, and inflation and so on. Inflation is a very, very powerful, invisible form of taxation. So anyway, the elites are desperate. They know they're getting outed. Hello, Fluffles, I see you. But they can't help themselves. They can't stop themselves. They're going to continue to do what they do until something more powerful than them stops them. And so what I've realized, I don't just feel threatened. I now realize and feel that I've been robbed. I have been robbed. It's the same feeling. I now realize it, but in a very slow motion, deep, like train wreck kind of feeling. The same feeling I got when I opened the door to several different places where I lived. Opened the door and realized, oh my God, I've been robbed. Holy bleep, I've been robbed. And it's terrifying in your body, in your physiology, seeing all your belongings trashed, seeing things, knowing things that have been stolen, lost money and lost things. And that's where we are. That's where I am. And I don't like the feeling. I feel like I've been robbed. I can explain it through very lengthy videos if you want to, going back to the financial system and so on. But it's the same for millions of people around the world. They're all realizing that, my God, we've been freaking robbed. Blind robbed. Without even knowing it. By by believing in our elders, our superiors, our governors, our elected leaders, only to discover that they are the highest levels of criminals on earth. Hello, Victor. And so, anyway, I just wanted to share that. I'm feeling very queasy, very uneasy, extremely unsettled. Okay, I'm going to go to the charts now. I want to explain a few things from that perspective over here. So this is my astrodoodle for today. What do you notice that's different? Well, I'll just tell you. There's almost nothing that's obviously bright, dazzling red. This is actually orange, orange, and orange. This is like warning lights, flashing warning lights. There's a tremendous amount of orange going on here. Actually, I forgot to highlight one of them. Tremendous amount of orange. Where's my orange? There it is. Well, I should include the Taurus as well. Yeah. A lot of alarm bells. If you think of this orange stuff as alarm bells, or like a warning siren for a big storm. Okay. Like those old-fashioned, storm alarms. And again, remember, everything is exactly as it should be. Why is that so? How is it so? Because it can't be any other way. These are all these factors here that I've highlighted in orange, okay? Pluto on the cusp here, Neptune on the cusp here, Mars and Moon and Chiron near the cusp here, also in a cluster, okay? Jupiter on the cusp over here, Uranus approaching the cusp over here. So we have these cusp situations. Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini. And when there's a lot of energy concentrated near the cusps, things get very, very shaky and jittery. Like, am I supposed to do this or am I supposed to do that? Oh, wait a minute, I'm going to go over there. Wait a minute, I should be doing that. Oh, I started doing that, but I forgot I should be doing this. Which is more important? So things can get very stuttery. Like, what? Oh, I know what you're saying, Esther. I can see your notes there, Orange. I know exactly what you're saying. That is funny. I've decoded your language. So anyway, we've got a lot of alarm bells and orange, it's just like traffic lights, okay? Green, orange, red. So we've got a lot of orange. Question is anybody paying any attention? I know I am. It's scaring the poop out of me. The reason why I think people aren't fully alerted at this very moment in time is because we have this very powerful harmonious energy between Pluto in Aquarius at 1 degree and Jupiter in Gemini at 1 degree. That's very powerful, harmonious type of conjunction that's very, very smooth, which allows things that are good and healthy to move forward in a very, let's say, effective, powerful way. There's very little to challenge that at this very moment. Now, of course, this will change over the year. Jupiter's going to be here for about a year. Okay, let me go back a bit. As we've talked about this one many, many, many times. Pluto's on the cusp here with Aquarius and Capricorn. Over here, in this section of the Capricorn world, on the unhealthy expression, it's the global elites having reached their point of maximum desperation, where they're doing everything they can to force their evil agenda on humanity. They basically want to rob you, okay? Over here, on the Aquarius side, On the Aquarius side, of course, it's the energy of the people waking up and seeking revolution. Wait a minute. I want freedom. I want us to be us. And over here, the big shout out with Aries, not only that, I want me to be me. I have a right to be me. Thank you very much. So, anyway, there's that. Let me just finish the broad spectrum rant. Uranus and Mercury are over here at their higher degrees of Taurus, so we're seeing more and more obvious examples of the global banking system falling apart and becoming very, very unstable. That's been expected for years. We've talked about that for years. Over here with the energy with Aries, the orange alerts over here, it's all about the North Node is in Aries. It's our job to be us. It's your job to be the most amazing version of you, not subjecting yourself or sublimating yourself to somebody or something else. Not healthy. Also, as we predicted months ago, when Mars conjoins Chiron, it's going to get very violent because people are very, very angry, very frustrated, very damaged and wounded and pissed off, and they're sick of being that way. And it's like a wounded animal that's lashing out. And so you've probably noticed a massive explosion of violence across the world for multiple reasons, political, financial, mostly. Wars, all the big wars going on. And it's going to amplify, okay, just heads up. Another thing about the Taurus Mercury energy over here, we talked about global finances and commerce. Uranus is getting closer and closer to the critical degrees, okay? So I see you there, Fluffles. Don't worry, I got your notes. So at the same time, we're going to see more and more increased instability in the global climate. Okay, it's going to get very bizarre and extreme. Cold, heat, floods, hurricanes, droughts, fires, tornadoes, volcanoes, earthquakes, all of that stuff. Everything. Sun and Venus and Jupiter are in Gemini right now, so we're kind of in the Gemini season where there's a lot of very active, open, vibrant communication that is exploding all over the world right now regarding the themes of how everyone's getting screwed and ripped off by the elites, and secondly, how people are demanding their rights. All the rights that have been stolen by the elites. Okay, so that's a big conversation right now. Okay, now, give me a second. First of all, I want to put down my post-it notes. Post-it note for Fluffles and one for Esther, okay? There's one for Esther. Okay, and then we got one for Fluffles. Alright, so we got that. That might be all I can handle. Just by the way, people. I would say I'm very fragile at the moment. Alright. I'm not boasting about it. It's just, it is what it is. Okay. Alright, so let me connect over here. Hi. I'm just going to have a beverage. Bear with me, please. So, these are my notes. Okay, I know it's kind of a mess. I'm covering a lot of stuff. Some people would say, why don't you just focus on one thing? But the way I operate, the way I'm built, I feel like I'm out outer space most of the time, and I'm getting the same view that a golden eagle would have. It's just spectacular, and you think, why on earth would I bother to come down to earth and hang around on the surface here, okay? But you have to, because this is where we live. I'm not a golden eagle, and I can't live in outer space on my own. So anyway, what I do is I just accept that I'm built that way, and then I have to find ways to come down to earth and operate in a three-dimensional reality. I'll start with the obvious one, the whole situation regarding Donald. Like, whether you love him or hate him, it kind of doesn't matter. What's disturbing about the whole thing is that it now has exposed the federal government of being completely and utterly fraudulent. There's no credibility anymore in the federal government or this administration. They're a classic example of the elites that are desperate. They don't have any way they can actually prevail in a legitimate manner. So the only strategy they have anymore is to destroy Donald. And like Esther says, there's a chance he can be actually in jail. Donald has already spoken about that openly to the public, and he says he's willing to, accept his fate accordingly and let the chips fall where they may. Just like in gambling, this is what it is. The thing is, the whole mechanism is backfiring on the establishment, and the more and more they try to destroy Donald, the stronger he gets. Within 24 hours, he raised over $35 million straight after the conviction. That's broken all records. And today, what's her name? Allison Sheldon. She owns some football companies or football teams or whatever it is. I'm not sure. I think she's the wife of Adelson. I can't remember. Anyway, she has just donated $100 million to the Trump campaign. That's going to be very handy. The beauty about this thing, I can't resist throwing in a few little nuggets. Is it a coincidence that all this is happening in Gemini season? With Pluto in Aquarius at the cusp, very harmonious, very, very, very powerful conjunction. With Venus there, adding lots and lots of harmony to the Gemini vibes, and Jupiter, of course, expanding the great good fortune of the Gemini vibes. So guess what? Donald, Gemini Sun, Uranus in Gemini, Gemini North Node, all there in the 11th house ruled by Uranus, which rules the sign of Aquarius. Is all of this a coincidence? Or is some of this divinely ordained? Anyway, so there you go. I mean, we kind of all knew this was going to happen. And please, I think Love Trapper sent me some links. In 2016 we're going to get Trump. Russia hoax. Hillary this. Oh, we're going to send this court case, that court. Every time they try to attack Donald, he just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And so it's very interesting to watch as a phenomenon. And the whole world is watching this. The whole world. It's an amazing story. It's an amazing chapter in American history. Anyway, as you can imagine, the left-wing media, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, NBC, CNN, Reuters, Associated Press, Politico, Washington Post, and all of that, they are all freaking out. They're completely freaking out, and they've actually got to the point where they can't hide the problem anymore. They're basically saying, we're not sure what to do. This guy Donald seems to be unstoppable, and Grandpa Joe is kind of losing it here. He doesn't know what to do. And that's true. That's the truth. A lot of people hate Donald because he just spills out whatever he wants to. It comes out of his mouth. You have to remember he has a Sagittarius South Node. So he's predisposed to the truth, honesty, integrity coming out whether he offends anybody or not. He can't help himself. So his role with the Gemini North Node is to filter all that energy into digestible sound bites for we the people. So we just get this repeated story over and over again. Okay, so in that vein, okay, you've probably noticed all over the world there are massive surges in what they're calling nationalist populist movements. In other words, like what's happening in America with Donald. France, the country of Georgia, Italy, Germany, Argentina, Spain, Poland, Hungary, the Baltics. They are all flipping to nationalist stuff. They're all anti-immigration. They're all pro-family, pro-God, pro-health. They're all anti the elites, and so on and so on. It's an amazing thing to witness. They are actively, very, very, very actively giving the middle finger to the United Nations, the New World Order, the World Health Organization, the European Union, the CDC, the WEF. All of those entities that represent the highest levels of the elites, they're getting this from the people. Okay? Anyway, I thought I'd mention that. Thing is, you would expect. Okay, next item I got here. Canada, Australia, New Zealand, England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. You would think they would be more closely aligned with America-type activities and conditions, situations, but they're not. They're in very, very, very deep trouble. They're already heavily infected by the three-letter entities I already mentioned. And they're having really serious problems now. Canada and Australia, they're totally screwed. They have given away their sovereignty, and they're going to suffer. It's very sad to watch. You don't have to be pro or anti. You don't have to be a political. I'm just voicing my opinions here. I don't know if you heard about this one. You know, for a few days at the end of May, China did a massive, massive military operation to try and intimidate Taiwan. It didn't work. It backfired really, really badly. Really, really badly. There's some stuff that I was digging around that you're not going to see on mainstream. One item happened where a 40-meter boat, it was a commandeered ship, 40 meters, that's like for 120 feet long, big, heavy, old tugboat, a massive old tugboat. It spontaneously disappeared in the ocean around Taiwan. The tugboat was going along at slow speed, and then all of a sudden it went much slower, and then suddenly it just disappeared. It sank. And what was revealed is that a Chinese submarine ran into its own Chinese tugboat, and a lot of people died. Okay. They're not going to tell you that. They're also not going to tell you that the whole of the Chinese Air Force and all their Ju-20s were completely outed by the Allies and all their F-16s and the advanced, hyper-advanced radars over in Taiwan. And so I think China learned a tremendous amount on this recent exercise where they went out there, they did their big show of anger, and then they had to go home and realize, oh my God, if we'd actually fired a bullet and started World War III with Taiwan, we'd be all dead by now. China would not have stood a chance. They would have been obliterated. All the first movers, let's say China shoots first out of anger. Within 30 seconds to a minute, that will trigger full-on war and just a massive obliteration of ships, aircraft, landing craft, armaments throughout the Chinese PLA, the People's Liberation Army, and the CCP. And Mr. Ping is starting to realize, my God, I'm screwed. I'm totally, utterly screwed. Nobody believes me anymore. Well, obviously. Nobody takes his threats seriously anymore because it's all bluster. He's a bully. And his military is actually all about show because all his military hardware is inferior. It might look like an aircraft carrier, a jet airplane, a missile, a landing craft, and rifles and tanks. It looks like that, but they're all basically shoddy crap knockoffs that collapse under stress, including the actual people in his army. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the reason he's behaving this way is because he is desperate, just like the other elites I mentioned. He's got nothing else to do. There's only one thing he can do, is to say he's going to go to war and hope that everybody gets scared and acquiesces and say, okay, China, we'll do what you say. It's not going to happen. China is in a deep, deep doom spiral. Saturn in Pisces, okay? That's very bad news for China. Neptune in Pisces, 29.5 degrees. Very bad news for China. It's all the fraud, their whole economy is based on theft, fraud, deception, blackmail, lies, betrayal, murder, coercion. It's falling apart. The whole thing. Live, real time. Forget whatever the mainstream is telling you, that China's going to take over the world. It's not. Okay, here's another item. I got this from Love Triber. I'm trying to condense everything so I can get through stuff really quickly. U.S. Big Pharma. You know, like the Modernas and the Pfizers and all that crowd. The whole medical industrial complex, okay? It's all being outed. There's so much evidence now coming out about the massive fraud that was perpetrated across the world in March 2020. It started in January 2020, but it didn't reach headlines until March 2020, when I remember landing at LAX in Los Angeles, March 3rd, 2020. That was the day of the lockdowns. Bammo! And ever since then, people have been living, they're being terrorized. People have been terrorized by these elites. But the elites are being outed. It's all being outed. All their lies are being exposed. The elites are being debunked. Fauci, the CDC, and all that gang. They're being exposed. All the hospitals that took the big money, all the insurance companies that played along, all the doctors that played along, all the pharmaceuticals that played along with it, they're now in deep trouble. Insurance companies won't touch. I mean, it's... Anyway, to me, that's good news. It's very tragic that so many people got damaged. But at least the truth is coming out. I want to do something about the climate here. This is something I've been studying for a while, okay? Now, you've all heard about the grand solar maximum, the grand solar minimum. You've heard about the solar cycle. There's an 11-year solar cycle. 11 years. Every 11 years, give or take a few months, the sun gets more and more and more active with solar flares, coronal mass ejections, radiation, protons, electrons, solar bombardments. And sometimes they hit the Earth. Sometimes it's very, very damaging. And that is starting to accelerate and expand now. And it's causing a lot of trouble. And it's making the conversation very, very lively. And what some people have been saying is that, oh, we're heading for a grand solar maximum any minute now. And then it's going to crash and turn to the grand solar minimum. So people are talking about, oh my God, the world's going to get hotter, 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 hotter in the next year and a half. And then it's going to plunge and we're going to get into really super Arctic winters. Hey guys in the chat, I'll catch up with you very soon. I'm almost done here, okay? So I kept studying and I realized, okay, so we have these so many different, cycles and things. The 11-year cycle is very well established and understood. But there's been a lot of confusion, the solar maximum, solar minimum. On the 11-year cycle, it's like people would be thinking, oh, here's the maximum, oh, here's the minimum. Here's the maximum, oh, here's the minimum. Every 11 years. And it's not like that. What I discovered is that there's a much, much bigger cycle underneath the 11-year cycle. And that's the grand solar maximum, grand solar minimum. So I've done a little doodle. Let me just show you. I made a tiny little doodle over here. So if you can see that, you can see it's very, very choppy. It's kind of like a serrated knife. So these big swings here, there's the grand solar minimum, grand solar maximum, minimum, maximum, minimum, maximum, and so on. It's very well established. They've been recorded for, almost like a couple of 100 years now. And then these little tiny squiggles, up, down, up, down, up, down, those are the solar flare cycles. That's the 11-year cycle. Now this, of course, is not really accurate, but I'm now understanding that our 11-year sun cycle lives inside this much bigger sun cycle for the maximum, minimum, maximum, minimum. Now, of course, on the maximum is when we get hotter situations on Earth. Minimums when we get cooler, okay? So, what everyone's talking about, because I'm learning at the same rate as everyone else, I always thought and believed and understood that these little blips here were actually these blips here. I thought that this was a solar maximum, this was a solar minimum, a maximum, a minimum, and a maximum and a minimum. But no. The real thing is much bigger. And so what I discovered and learned through my homework is that, yes, we've got all these 11-year cycles going on right now, and things are definitely heating up. There's no question things are going to get hotter. So I kept thinking, oh my God, we're going to crash. The thing is, we're not there yet. We're actually right about here. Okay? We're right about here. So it's going to be a few years before we get to the solar maximum over here. And then it's going to drop to the solar minimum. Now, let me just make this doodle a little bit more clear. It actually is more like this. Let me show you. The big one, the solar maximum, solar minimum. It's more like this. If that makes any sense to you. So it's a long build up to the maximum, then it's a fast crash to the minimum. Long, slow build to maximum, fast crash to minimum. And this is many, many years apart. many, many years apart. And it just so happens that here we are in 2024, we are somewhere around here. So over the next 10 or 15 years, we're going to reach the maximum, and then it's going to drop. So be careful what you hear. Pay close attention to what you're hearing about the climate issue. I already talked about the crazy weather that we're going to continue to get with Uranus and Taurus. Floods, heat, tornadoes, hurricanes, fires. It's really bad in Italy right now, Iceland. Over here in, over here in Bangladesh and Burma, Myanmar, there's 250 million people that live right here. 13 million of them have no power right now, and they're all flooded out. If you think it's bad over here, yes, we have some really bad, scary stuff over here. But man, lastly, I wanted to mention, has anybody noticed that we're getting more and more bird flu fires? Yep. Is that a coincidence? All right, let me go back to the chat for a minute. I want to see what folks are talking about over there. I missed a few things. So let me just catch up. So we got a reading for Esther and a reading for Fluffles. And okay, so we're going to go back and get some notes in a minute. You put the update to your situation, Fluffles. Okay, that's good. Oh, thank you. Hello, Victor. I didn't. Did I say hello earlier? Hello, Victor. Thanks for coming to visit and hang out. You've been here quite a few times now. Where will it fall into the rest of the planetary influence? Ah, man. Okay, well, I gotta admit, Victor, there are some really amazing software programs that I would love to own. They're a little bit out of my reach, but when you have these softwares, you can like press knobs and dials and jiggle around with your mouse. You can do all these things, and you can make all the planets move back and forth and go all over the place, and you get this amazing spectacle. Like I could see months in advance, and you can predict things. It actually allows you to be sort of predictive, like the way when you're talking, like, you know, when I wrote this book in years ago, Wealth, Money, Finance, highlighting global restructuring starting at January 2020. And that's exactly what happened. And that's based on astrology. Remember the big earthquakes, the massive earthquakes in Turkey a while back? I predicted it was all related to the massive conjunctions with Uranus. This is probably about a year ago now. And guess what? A major earth scientist came out and said the primary influence for that massive earthquake was Uranus planets being under stress. Okay? Okay, I'm just reading some notes. Yeah, God regulates the universe. Thank you. Thank you, Esther. Cheers. We're participants. We're observers. Anybody who thinks they can control the world, control the weather and all that, they're nuts. They're crackpots. This is God's planet. This planet Earth is actually a spectacular, beautiful thing. As yet, so far, I haven't seen any evidence of anything remotely like Earth anywhere. There's lots of talk. Oh, there's a planet the same size. Oh, there's something that has some water. Oh, there's something in a far-off galaxy. Sure. Yeah, I know there's water out there. Yeah. Cheers. You'll notice I haven't mentioned too much about the Ukraine-Russia war, mostly because that's ongoing and expanding. It's just growing like a little plant, a little tree, just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. That's the news for both sides. Russia today, yesterday, was it? No, last week, Putin announced a massive tax raise for all Russian people in order to help finance the war. See, war is all about the money, honey. It's the same thing with the other big active war right now over in the Middle East. That's the Israeli-Gaza thingamy. That's all about the money, honey. All these people who are dying, being slaughtered, starved, and everything, that's just collateral damage to the bankers' war. The bankers are sitting there trying to figure out all their dollars and how they're going to make money through oil and gas and everything. Meanwhile, Israel is basically doing the dirty work. They have to clear the land. They have to clear the Palestine's Gazas to remove any chance of claiming rights to the oil and gas just across just a few miles out in the ocean, in the Mediterranean Sea. Money, 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 money. Power, money, control. People who die, it's just like, people are going to die anyway. Well, why should we worry? We're bankers. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen. So, yeah, I didn't mention all of that. Let me go. Other thing I haven't mentioned too much is all the wars in central northern, that section of Africa, which is in between the Sahara and in between the tropics. It's the Sahel region. It's literally a hell zone. They don't have a lot of water. They don't have a lot of resources or anything. And it's just a permanent, perpetual bloodbath. But people don't talk about it much because it doesn't directly affect Westerners. And the Westerners are the ones that produce and consume all the news. All the bloodbath that's happening in those parts of Africa, it's basically very, very old-fashioned, like gun on gun, knife on knife, machete on machete type war. It's ugly, brutal, and dirty. And there's no end in sight. That's the problem. One of the problems with Africa, that's just been in a perpetual state of war ever since I can remember, even as a little child. Anyway, it's all kind of disgusting. What I think happens in war is that a bunch of people start to get addicted to power and money and control. And once they've tasted it and enjoyed the fruits, in other words, lots of money, lots of power, lots of control, it's an irresistible, like a narcotic. They have to have more and more and more. And the more they have, the more they want, the more they need to get the same buzz of feeling like they are a valid, viable, worthy human. In reality, I think of them as hollow, empty, despicable monsters. They don't see themselves that way. They think they're saving the world. It's very, very strange. I'm a great believer in self-defense. I've kind of changed my profile in such a way that I'm very much more prepared now to protect and defend myself. Because I used to be so happy and so confident as a child and a young adult. I thought I was bulletproof. I felt like I could do anything. And I was raised that way as well. My parents just loved me and they just let me wild. I was like a wild animal. Happy, happy, happy. Anyway, I realized that I am a finite being and that I have a shelf life. And I'm on the far end of the extension of my shelf life. And I want to keep going for a while. I feel like I have a reason to be here, so I've become much more proactive in terms of self-defense. I highly recommend you get that way too. It makes you feel very kind of fuzzy and warm inside. All right, we should probably get on with the readings. God, I've been talking a long time. I'm sorry about all that. That's the thing about doing these shows once a week. I get so pent up with so much stuff inside of me, and I just have to rant and blurt it all out. I really, deep inside, I'm hoping I can get to the point one day where I can do a little show every day. Relaxed, simple, straightforward. Just cover a couple of topics and then move on, have the rest of the day, and then see you again the next day. All right, let me I got to put all this stuff back together. So bear with me, folks. Actually, I'm going to put on a couple of tunes so that we can get the cards ready. We can shuffle and hang out. All right? have to admit too, I was kind of enjoying the music. Thanks, Victor, for hanging out with us. Good night, goodbye, farewell. See you soon. I'm glad you enjoyed the astrology. It's just my personal opinions. I've been doing it for a long, long time. And I've just formed my own perspectives, and I like to share them. I found that it's like... Excuse me, sorry, I lost myself. Oops. It's trial and error. It's experiential. It's what do they call it? It's empirical. Empirical evidence. I work through an empirical, almost like a scientific approach. I studied math, chemistry, physics, biology when I was a kid. I guess I had a strong interest, but really at the deeper core, I'm really more of an artist and a writer and a musician. So figure that out. Weird combo, huh? But anyway, the end result is here we are today doing this. So right now we're going to do a mini reading for Esther. Thank you very much, Esther. If you're okay, if it's okay, I'll just do a blind reading, okay? I love doing that way, as you know. And then we're going to read for Fluffles, and I know you put some notes up there, okay, Fluffles? We'll get to that. All right, thank you very much. We're all shuffled. Okay, let's get ready, folks. Here we go. Going to the last minute, okay, Esther? So gather around, invite your beautiful invisible friends. Every single one of them. There are different varieties, as you know. There's your archangels, there's your angels, there's your personal invisible friends. There's perhaps pets from the great beyond, loved ones from the great beyond, and so on and so on. All right, let's have a look here. Okay. All right, we're well shuffled. Let's bless this whole deck. Bless every single card. Bless all of us here tonight, even the watchers that don't sign in or anything like that. People who watch later on. And you bless the computer, the channels, and all the platform, the wires, the cameras, the microphones, the lights, all the multiple softwares, all of that good stuff. It allows us to do this. I think it's wonderful. All right, here's the situation. Okay, Esther, here we go. You've seen this before. You know exactly what we're doing here. This is my situational spread. It's like a diagnostic tool. It's a very, very neutral, simple approach to get to the core of the issues. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things, and we're going to look at external influences. I usually default to the planets, of course, as you know. Esther, what do we got? Look at this! Oh, boy. This is the Fool card. I feel that you're truly blessed, Esther. It's like, it makes me feel like you're one of these people. This is just a reminder that don't ever forget how lucky you are, Esther. Very few people ever get the chance to have this much freedom in one lifetime. No matter how much adversity you might have faced or endured over your life, it keeps going. I'm going to mention something. This reminds me very much about what happened to me yesterday. I'm just going to share with you, okay, Esther? I have very, very erratic, unstable sleep patterns these days. I have a very vivid dream world, and I get woken up, do a task, and then I go straight back to sleep and dream. So it's very different from having 6 or 8 hours straight sleep. I'm hoping that it's cumulative. But anyway, I had lots of very, very, let's say, interesting dreams, which I shared the stories to a few friends of mine. And then one of the things that happened. I woke up, I think it was at like 4:30 a.m., and I heard this beautiful music. And it was a song. It's called I Couldn't Live Without Your Love. And it was by a performer called Petula Clark. She is now 91 years old. And if you heard the song, I can't play it here because they'll shut down the channel. So anyway, it's a beautiful, beautiful song. And it was the sort of song that happened in the days when, like, I would say songs were songs. Like beautiful melodies, beautiful tunes, beautiful beats, dance, fun, all these things. Anyway, the thing is, I kind of went and looked for some other songs by Petula Clark. And she had a lot of hit records when she was a young lady. And she's still going today. She still performs. Well, I think a couple of years ago she stopped. But certainly into her late 80s, she was performing, doing tours on buses, entertaining crowds, people who loved her from generations ago. And I checked in and watched an interview with her, and she was about 88 years old. And she had that energy of the Fool card. And what I'm trying to indicate, Esther, it's very similar for you, like where you live purely in the moment. Okay, there's a so-called future. Okay, there's a so-called past. But there is a tremendous freedom that exists when you live in the moment, in the now, where you deliberately choose to see everything in all its beauty and splendor and wonder. It doesn't mean you dismiss all the ugliness and horrible things of the world. You're perfectly aware of that, but you choose to be happy and free from the inside out. And that becomes your default setting. That is the default setting for Petula Clark. And I think my dream story was specific so I could share that with you, Fluffles, so that you understand that you share the same default setting as Petula Clark. You might have heard of the song Downtown. Downtown. I hope that little clip doesn't get me censored. But anyway, so there you go. I see it as a very lucky influence for you, and it's just, again, like a reflection, a reminder to yourself, Esther, that you're one of those lucky people who is free. You live in the moment, not the past, not the future. You live in the now. If you're happy, you're happy. If you get sad, you get sad. So anyway, let's have a look. What's the situation? Okay. So with the Five of Swords here, Esther, if you feel that you've been in situations recently or over extended period, like in the last year or two, where you're starting to feel like it's like you're trying to get a certain message across to some people, and it's just not going anywhere. You're trying to prove something, and it kind of, it's not like, how can I describe it? It's, hold on, let me go over here again. I have to describe it this way. With the Five of Swords, it makes me feel like there's you, just being your normal, Esther, living in the moment, having your beliefs and everything, and you're starting to witness that there are conflicting storylines out there. And it might be something like, for example, some of the conversations that you have here in the chat, where sometimes you meet resistance. Okay, I have no interest in challenging your beliefs, your thoughts, your ideals, your perceptions. They are yours. You can own them, have them, keep them, cherish them, all of that. I have mine. I bless you and yours. I bless me and mine. Okay. But when I see the Five of Swords, it makes me feel like you're starting to notice that not everybody is on the same page as you. And that's starting to become a problem where you're starting to think, wait a minute, doesn't everybody see what I see? Doesn't everybody understand what I understand? Why am I... why? It might feel like very confusing to you, like having a belief system that is being not undermined, but being exposed for being limited, in that there is more stuff going on that needs to be observed. And also another thing with the Five of Swords is this energy of futility. In other words, there's no point, in order to stay comfortable with your belief systems, there's no point in trying to push them out in such a way that they eventually get validated and returned and reciprocated by others. Because sometimes that's not going to happen. Like, I have certain belief systems, and my brother and sister, for example, think I'm a complete crackpot. What can you do? I don't get into fights with them about it. It's just something that I've observed. And I don't want to engage in a futile conversation. It's not worth it to me. I love my brother and sister, and they love me, but there is this disconnect, and I don't try to force it to connect, because they're entitled to be themselves. Okay, so okay, I see that. Okay, sorry, Gregory, I didn't notice. Sorry, hold on. So I just wanted to point that out, Esther, that you might be in one of those situations where you're sensing a disconnect right now. Like, why is this and this and this happening when I believe this and this and this? Like, where's the disconnect? Okay, let's keep going. All right, what are the challenges here? Okay, to me it makes me feel like the challenge with this situation is that it makes you doubt yourself to the point where secretly, in your own private space, in your own private time, you would be questioning yourself like am I going mad? Am I mad? Am I a crackpot for my beliefs? The way I think and feel? Wait a minute. Whoa. That's awful. That would be awful. You don't need to feel that way, obviously, but there might be a little thing in the back of your mind somewhere going like, my God, what if I'm the one who's nuts? Okay. So that's understandable for anyone who is encountering any kind of resistance or a type of reaching the boundaries of your belief systems. Pushback. You can be strong if you want to and defend and protect your beliefs if you want to, but eventually it gets to the point where you might start doubting yourself and think like, well, am I the one who's deluded? I'm not a drug addict. I'm not a lunatic. I'm not on crack. What are we going to do about this? Okay, let's progress here. How are we going to deal with this going forward? Okay, with the Knight of Cups, to me it's very, very simple. Let's just say, TL, calm down. Calm down. Esther has the right to be her anyhow that she chooses. And yet, with this very, very subtle experience happening now and recently, perhaps in the very near future, where things are being questioned, you might be questioning yourself, doubting yourself, and feeling like, well, maybe what if I am the crackpot and everyone else is right? Ugh. Well, it's not black and white, okay, Esther? It's not a black and white situation. It's not like everyone else is right and you're wrong, or you're right and everyone else is wrong, or what. It's not that at all. The way to move forward is to basically understand what we're talking about here, put it aside, and reconnect with yourself, and work with yourself to be very kind to yourself, to heal yourself by declaring to yourself that I have the right to be me and believe what I want, how I want, and do what I want the way I do things. However, if there's something that's unsettling or unnerving or that's being questioned right now, there's no point in getting hostile or harsh on myself or judging myself or being doubting myself. The best thing to do is basically give myself a big, fat, warm hug and remind myself that, okay, I'll figure this out, I'll deal with this, I'll grow through this, I will evolve above this confusion and conflict here. It's not a serious threat to my life and my happiness, my well-being. I love to be happy. I want to be happy. I love to be loving and be loved. It's kind of part of your DNA, Esther, okay? You having all this freedom, allowing yourself to love and be loved in your own specific way. You just need a reminder to continue to be that way and allow yourself to evolve and grow, even if you're going through a phase that's uncomfortable. You'll get out the other side by basically being very nice to yourself, giving yourself a chance to listen to others and allowing yourself to express more openly to others, like maybe explain yourself more precisely to others and wait for the feedback and so on, but just do it very, very gently so that you, in other words, you become your own savior and you're the one who heals yourself. Okay? All right, Esther. There you go. I hope that helps. We're going to do a little tune here. We're going to move on. We're going to do a little mini reading for Fluffles. Let's try here. Okay, hold on. Don't get too excited now. All right, Fluffles, you're up. I'll be all right, Gregory. I'll be all right. Right, Fluffles. Now I know. Well, Gregory, if you're having trouble sleeping, it doesn't surprise me. Everybody I know is having the same issues. It's this big shift into the Gemini vibe. Jupiter in Gemini, making things very, very accelerated and jittery. It's like adding nitrous oxide to your fuel tank and you're turning your car into a dragster and you're just trying to go grocery shopping. And it's hard to unwind when you get like nervously fired up. It would be very, very normal for people to have nervous breakdowns in these conditions. The Sun is in Gemini, Venus in Gemini, Jupiter in Gemini, trined by Pluto in Aquarius, amplifying the airy, wacky, crazy, extreme vibrations. Okay? Thank you, Esther. Thank you. Shut up. Okay. It's okay. We're going to do this. We're going to be fine. All right. So, Fluffles, I'm going to go back to your notes way at the beginning of the chat. Give me a second here. I've got to scroll back. Doopy doopy doop, bloop doop doop. Okay, Fluffles, fluff. Okay. I see it. TL. I'm reading from the chat. Okay, TL. I secured the deal. Excellent. I secured the deal. I have both sides giving me complete trust, and somehow they both trust me as their number one. I've got them both now working with me and wanting to work with me now and in the future deals. Wow. What more can you ask for? Jeepers, Fluffles. My question is, my customer is just a little reticent still with his real estate broker. Okay. He has me reviewing every contract in detail. Will he actually pull the trigger soon and commit to a property? Okay, I'm going to scroll down a bit more. It's been a lot of work. Thanks, TL. All right. Okay. Well, okay, before we even start with your reading, Fluffles, I've got a couple of comments. You're already successful. You've done this before. You know what it means to be successful. You know what it takes to be successful. But you've gone on to, you have evolved to a whole other level now. And you've reached, okay, let me do it this way. Before we do the reading, you've reached a plateau where you already know what you're doing. But with this new plateau, you're heading into the unknown. And that's going to be the unknown. That can include anything that you don't know. And you might be realizing, I don't know as much about human behavior as I thought I did, because you're discovering things now here in the channel. Like you have a client who's showing signs of reticence, okay, and asking for, let's say, a lot of detail that you're not used to providing because people are normally already fully trusting. And so I would guess that this is pressure from Saturn in some way, some form, putting the pressure on, testing you to evolve. People evolve from pressure. In other words, what works and what doesn't work. Look at the giraffe and their neck, okay? They evolved to have a long neck, okay? All right, I'm going to go back over here. Give me a second. I'm going to be with you. So let's have a look. We're going to go over. All right, I got to. All right, so I'm just, sorting things out on the show. All right, so I just wanted to mention that, Fluffles. You just scored. You deserve to be very happy and proud of yourself, but you're already sensing the pressures of this next level of private enterprise where you are being probably challenged more than ever before, even though you're already proven, okay? So, for example, this new level of scrutiny that is being demanded from you is a little unexpected and might make you feel a little queasy, like, oh, wait a minute, I wasn't expecting that. Oh. Okay, cards are well shuffled. Let's dive in and let's have a look. Okay, what sort of messages do we have here for Fluffles tonight regarding this new client and how things are going to open up down the road for future deals, property, and so on, contracts, and so on? Let's have a look. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things. External influences, let's have a look. Okay, Ten of Swords. So my feeling is with the Ten of Swords is to remind yourself very calmly and very gently, you've already been through the worst of the worst. You've probably been betrayed, undermined, victimized, scammed. I don't know, every imaginable horrible thing that could have happened to you in business has happened. So you could wear this, I would say wear this as a badge of honor, the way a high-ranking military wears all those badges on their chest. Okay? These are the battles that you have conquered. Okay? That's history. You are very well proven. Okay? There's no ambiguity there. It obviously showed in your work, your skills, and your talents, and that's why they trusted you. And that's why they will trust you. But as you go up the scale of evolution, the challenges become more complex and harder. Let's have a look. Here's the situation itself. Ha 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 ha. Dear Fluffles, you got the Eight of Wands here. I don't know what you're scared of. My feeling is this Eight of Wands is an indication that you now, whether you like it or not, know it or not, you've built up a massive little, like a nugget of wealth. By closing these deals, closing up this deal, you have crossed a huge threshold, which is now giving you inside of your body, your mind, your heart and soul, inside of you, you're getting a green light to go forward because you have just proven yourself to yourself that you're really awesome, and now you've kick-started and now things can roll. Of course, this is very exciting energy. It's very excitable energy, so it's like supercharged energy. You kind of want to be careful. You don't want to overdo things. What's the challenges here? Obviously, you have a little bit of doubt. Let's have a look. Okay. So, with the Strength card here, in obvious terms, you might be doubting your abilities because you've just declared here on screen that you closed the deal. And they're both happy to work with you. So you must be doing something right. You must be doing something above right. You must be doing something that sets new standards where these people see you as someone who's very valuable to them. And now they're riding with that and going forward. And yet here you are, doubting your own strength and purpose and meaning and value. And my feeling is that with the Strength card, it's what it's about here is trying to understand and learn trying to differentiate the feeling of strength that comes with the very physical, three-dimensional aspect of things like power, money, control, success, things that you've just proven to yourself and to your clients. That's great. And of course, you want to grow with that. But deep inside, you know that there's a spiritually higher purpose, and you know damn well that it's about serving your clients and that you can't evolve and grow in the way that you like to so that you feel awesome and you feel validated and strong. That cannot occur unless and until you dedicate yourself to the service of the clients. And that's actually really hard to do, because typically the ego doesn't want to do that. The ego would just want to reside in this area here, just reveling in your strength, your win, your glory, your excitement, your power, and your energy. I'm not going to say but sadly, but it's a little bit frustrating, because it's then you have to go to bed at night realizing, wow, we're just taking it to the next level. It's about higher quality, more sacrifice, more selfless behavior than ever before. So for example, with this client demanding and requesting and wanting more detail about the contracts, the agreements, the paperworks. Okay, I just saw some new notes. Hold on. I haven't closed it. I've secured their trust and loyalty. I'm wondering now if my client is going to make a decision on a home and put his money into escrow, aka put the tiger, pull the tiger, get into escrow. Okay, I see what you're saying. So that would be very nerve-wracking. My feeling here is you're excited because you see success on the horizon. But it's also a bit frustrating, because let's say everything works out and you actually sign it and close it, and you've earned their trust and loyalty, and it's now on paper. Then, okay, it's going to be a brief moment where you can celebrate the win, because you know that the next moment you're going to have to go on and dedicate yourself to future service. So my feeling here with this interpretation is regarding this particular client and their concern about getting more and more and more detail about the property or the contracts or whatever it was. That puts you in this state of real discomfort here, and it takes away a bit of the buzz of having secured their trust and loyalty, and then realizing, oh my God, I've got to go deeper than ever before to actually lock it in. Oh God. Okay, so anyway, how are we going to do this? Let's look forward here. Okay, with the Wheel of Fortune, dear Fluffles, you're going to have to completely trust in your divine nature, your divine abilities, your luck. Okay? You're just going to have to do it. And trust and believe that you're going to be okay, because you don't know until you know. And so if you get locked into fear, for example, and you try and dissuade the client from, oh, you don't really need that information. That's just small print. It's irrelevant. It's boring. Let's just sign the deal now. Come on, let's do it. That kind of approach could backfire really badly. Instead, you have to take on the full risk of the situation, knowing that it could fail, and yet knowing that it could win. The conditions that would enhance winning would be to serve the client and do the tedious, painful, uncomfortable thing of dealing with the details about which the client is asking. Okay? And then trust in your luck, knowing that you've spun the Wheel of Fortune and it's going to come up as a winner. But this cannot be achieved. You cannot, there's no way to achieve the win here. Think of this as the casino or the roulette wheel. You can't come up with the win unless you're willing to do the divine service, which means even more work than you've done already. Okay? That's it. You're going to be fine, Fluffles. You've already made huge advances. Now you have to go to the next level because you're being tested. Okay? It's like if you're in the military and you go up, sergeants and whatever the hierarchy is. I can't remember, admirals, generals, major generals, whatever it is. But when you get up to the level of really high up, you've been through a lot of challenges, and you've had to sacrifice a lot of yourself to come out on the other side with a win. All right? You're going to be fine. All right. Doop-de-doo. Thank you, Fluffles. Gregory, you're up. Okay, let's just do this. I got to get sorted here, okay? I wonder. So I got a couple notes from Gregory here. Thanks, TL. Either a blind reading or my client James Patrick's property tax valuation case. Whew. You know, I love to do blinds, but I'm really tempted to just get really specific. Why don't we just go for it? James, okay, let's just do it like we do. Cards are well shuffled, okay, Gregory? I don't know how this deck does it, but it's still, the deck is still like brand new. I've done thousands of readings. It's still like brand new. I don't get that. I don't understand it. All right, cards are well shuffled. Actually, I'm going to do one last mini shuffle here, okay? I like things to feel really pristine. I don't do jumpers or I don't do reversals. Okay, here we go. Okay, so what questions do we have here for Gregory tonight regarding the property tax valuation case for his client? You know what to do. Everybody gather round. Pull up a chair, pull up a lounge chair, your favorite beverage, your umbrella drinks. Invite all your invisible friends to gather around and enjoy the experience and share the experience. We'll maximize the reading, okay? Here we go. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things. And let's have a look at external energies and influences. Of course, you know, I like to defer to the planets. Let's see. Okay, so judgment. Okay, so, well, I wouldn't take this word too literally. But to me, there is an implication that it's very, very important that you get a very, very realistic, grounded valuation. That's not over and that's not under. It has to be in compliance with reality. In other words, I guess the real estate markets, the financial markets, all the local legal aspects and everything like that, where let's say it's worth an absolute fortune and the property taxes are astronomical, okay? If that's how it is, then that's how it is. Obviously, you want to get it as reasonable as possible, but with this energy here, you do not want to break the law in any way. Maybe take the law and reality to its legal the parameters, to the perimeters, the legal perimeters of what's allowable under the law, but by staying within very strict three-dimensional perspectives and being firmly realistic rather than trying to act nefariously, that's what will actually provide freedom and liberation. In other words, once you know the reality of the situation, however bad it is, if it's like a astronomical tax fee, then if that's what it ends up being, allowing for best efforts from you, Gregory, as the attorney, then so be it. And then what do you do after that? That's a whole other story. But it's very, very, very important with this energy here to be true and honest and open about the valuation. Not too much, not too under. It has to be in compliance. Let's have a look. What's the situation itself? Okay, so with the sun here, it makes me feel like you're kind of in a blessed situation where I'm not going to say you can't fail. What I'm suggesting is that by maintaining your integrity and your very high standards that you've always set for yourself, that is going to benefit you. Even if your client is wetting their pants about whatever valuation and numbers you come up with, by maintaining your integrity, your light, your abundance, it will be like, okay, hold on. How can I do this? Okay, let's say it's kind of a big deal. And there's a lot riding on this. There's a lot, let's just say that there's a lot of money, dollars, zeros, dollar signs riding on the situation here. You know it, and the client knows it. Now, the client might be squirming like, oh God, what am I going to do? Property taxes are killing me. That is not your problem. That's the client's problem. Your problem is to take care of your client. And if taking care of your client means grabbing them by their shoulders and going, okay, dear client, okay. The only way this is going to work is if we abide by the law. I, Gregory Ross, am a man of the law. Okay? We're not going to cheat, fudge, scam, trying to get around. whatever it is what it is. And once you know what it is, in other words, you've got to reveal it. You can even say that to your client. You've got to reveal it to heal it. Once you know what a realistic valuation is, then you can handle that challenge when you come to that part. Okay, so I'm trying to dissect your situation into two parts. The actual valuation, and then what do you do when you know what the exact valuation is? Does that make sense? I hope so. And for that to happen effectively, it requires that you, Gregory Ross, maintain your aura of pure love, joy, happiness, and benevolence. Understanding that you're not there to rig the system for your client. You're there to abide by the law and get your client in compliance with the law so that all parties can face and deal with reality, no matter how scary it is. Okay, I hope that makes sense. But that requires you to be incredibly strong and pure, and with the highest levels of integrity. In other words, you're indestructible. Okay? Okay, I see some notes. Client just purchased property last April for $4.4 million and getting taxed at 6.5. Okay, before I pull the next card, I think there are some very serious legal scams going on in the real estate world across America. Why do I say that? I will tell you. Stay there. Love Triber introduced me to a channel. It's about a real estate agent here in Las Vegas. Okay, over here, this is where the poor people live. Okay, I'm right around here. Okay, this is Nellis Air Force Base. It's all top secret military stuff. Here is the Strip. Billions of dollars come in here every year. The way I look at it, it's a tiny little place. I'm used to living in cities 10 times bigger than Las Vegas, okay? So Las Vegas seems quaint to me. There is a lot of money here, and there's a lot of activity in the real estate and development business. And there's one particular realtor that I've been observing who likes to open up the scams in how they operate. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the background of the real estate world where people are getting scammed. Property owners are getting scammed. For example, I'm going to use the name of this place, but I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to spell it out because I think they are participating. Okay? Okay, so you start watching these valuation charts. Oh, property went on the market for this a year ago. Somebody bought it for this, and 3 months later they're selling it for this. No, sorry, 3, 4, 5 months later, 6 months later, they're selling it for this much. Let's say they just bought a $4 million property, and within 3 or 4 months, 5, 6 months, they think they can sell it for $6.5, $7 million. These developers, builders, and investors and speculators are going insane here in Las Vegas because Las Vegas has earned a reputation for being a hotbed in real estate right now. So it's bringing out a lot of crazies. And what I've noticed is something that I think is very sinister. Okay. If a house is appraised at such and such a dollar, and the person thinks, I'm going to make millions on this. If it's a $500,000 house, and 6 months later they put it on the market for $750,000, thinking that they're going to get it, they're insane. So what happens is they start to drop the price a little bit. And the charts, I'm going to do some charts now. Watch this. This is going to be a TarotLumination a TarotLumination. How am I going to do this? Hold on, I got to think about this. This is going to be a TarotLumination Zillow Doodle. Okay, this is a Zillow Doodle. I'm not going to write it down there. But what I've been noticing, Gregory, is that these speculators, investors, buyers, and sellers are, the property market prices are going to have been going like this. In 2020, like, whoa. And then 22, wow. Okay? That's what it's been like here in Las Vegas. It's insane. And so latecomers are coming in here thinking they can buy something for $500,000 and sell it for $750 6 months later. They're insane. But guess what's also happening? This like price action chart, Zillow, the Zillography, the Zillograph is mimicking the behavior of the speculators. I feel that there's some kind of conspiracy between the Zillographers and the realtors and the sellers to try and artificially put these prices way higher than reality. So for example, in your situation, 4.5 purchase being evaluated at 6.5. My feeling, my guess is that, let's say they bought here and it's being evaluated here a little short while later, just a short while, maybe just a few months later. My feeling is that the tax people, the people who are, trying to collect the taxes, they are using supposedly legitimate resources like a Zillograph to get their numbers. And this is totally bogus. Okay? Bogus. Bogus, bogus, bogus. So somebody is way out of whack. Okay? Somebody is way out of whack. It's a completely delusional evaluation. I don't know how to fight that in the courts or prove it in the courts, but I think there's collusion and conspiracy going along between the Zillographers and the Realtorographers and the buyers to try and get these prices up, 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 because there's the commissions that go with it all. Okay? So there's something very, very stinky, very fishy going on here, Gregory. I don't know what it is, but anyway, I just wanted to share that. Okay, so I hope that made sense to you, what I was sharing there. Something smells very, very fishy. There are some people involved in this who are trying to manipulate or scam the situation because their hands are they're dirty or something. Yeah, I think they're yeah, okay, all right. Oh man, I wouldn't trust any of them. You have to get multiple separate valuations, okay? So it says you do know how to fight this. Okay, that's good, Gregory, but that's a huge discrepancy, being valued at 6.5 when the actual market is like 4.6. That's insane. Okay, so let's proceed. What's the problems here? To me, it makes me feel we just had the same card with Fluffles, but it's a different story for you, Gregory. It makes me feel that you're going to have to find a way to hold yourself in check a little bit so that you do not turn into a fuming, raging attorney in a court of law as part of the process of defending and protecting your client. In other words, somehow or other, you're going to have to invoke the grace of God and righteousness and purity to work through you as a divine medium, as a divine instrument of the healing power of love, to bring truth, honesty and justice to the situation, because it's obviously way out of whack, okay? Okay, so there's lots of legal stuff going on there in the chat that I don't understand, okay? So Gregory obviously knows what's going on here, but how are we going to deal with this? Let's have a look. Go forward. Ah, beautiful. Okay, so with the Six of Pentacles, my feeling here is just proceeding in a very diplomatic, gentle, well-balanced manner, always referring to the physical, financial realities. In other words, meticulous attention to the law and to the math, and how all of that stuff applies in this particular situation. This property, this client, at this moment in time. In other words, these people out there, they can't just make up a number, 6.5, and say, that's it, it's 6.5. You're going to be taxed at 6.5 because we say so. And then you're having to be very, very calm and say, well, actually, here's what needs to happen. And I'm not going to try and pretend to be a lawyer. I'm not going to try to pretend to be you, Gregory. But it's more about just very, very calmly presenting numbers, facts, law, doing everything by the book. Okay, according to blah, 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 according to this, according to that, the numbers should be blah, 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 blah. So myself and my client, we have absolutely no agreement with your evaluation, sir. Thank you very much. So what are the tax people going to do, okay? Okay, let's have a look. Well, actually, no. I'm going to evoke the grace of another attorney working with me to do that. Okay, so if it takes teamwork, that's great. Maybe it's like good cop, bad cop. I don't know. Maybe you can be the one who's like, I'm going to protect my client at all costs, whatever it takes. And then the other attorney goes, calm down, Gregory. Calm down, Gregory. We've got this. Don't worry. We'll take care of it. This is just a matter of law. We're just getting the numbers right. We have to go through the whole process. We have to inform the evaluators of the reality of the situation and come to an exact number. Obviously, the 6.5 is completely erroneous. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Maybe that's a strategy. Good cop, bad cop, balancing things out. But to me, it feels like basically wheeling and dealing, coming back and forth, doing it live, real time, on paper, evaluating it this way and to the tax people's favor, then your way to your favor, and eventually it's almost like your other guy is arguing both sides of the story. Like, dear tax people, we understand why you want to tax it at 6.5, but we have to come to terms with the reality. The property was only bought for 4.4 and it's now evaluated at 4.65. So we have to factor that into the math here, and so on. So it's just going back and forth, coming to terms. Eventually, an honest, genuine figure is determined. Okay. Okay. Anyway. Okay, sorry, let me go back. I see what you're saying there, Green. If you can find a way, if you've got a way to stay out of it and you're going to evoke the grace of another attorney, that's fantastic. And it's almost like you can be like a spiritual supervisor, a spiritual, like a father figure that brings comfort and assurance to your client. I mean, this is very, very strong energy, okay? You have to remember that. The Sun card is very powerful, but it's also very simple. I don't know all about Fluffles knows all about these things, I'm sure, but I don't. But it's very important that you maintain your your power, your light, your joy, your abundance, your complete, utter conviction and confidence that you're going to prevail. You and the other attorney and your client will prevail, like it's already predetermined, but you just have to go through the tedious process of determining the final outcome, the final numbers. Wheeling and dealing. It's wheeling and dealing till you approach the final correct value. Anyway. Can you prove if they weren't around, it would create an undoable final structure? Okay, just bring. I don't know. Good thought. Okay, so we're getting good secondary notes here on the chat. Thank you very much, Fluffles. Gregory, you're in a very vulnerable situation with the authorities. Oh no! I think we might have talked that before about in private readings and stuff. But sure, I understand. But in light of things here, my feeling is that it's in order to prevail, liberation and freedom. Basically, a lot of it rests on you maintaining like almost an indestructible aura that permeates the whole situation, so that the other attorney and the client and all the tax appraiser people fall under the spell of your aura without even knowing that that's what's happening, and a reasonable conclusion is reached. All right, I hope that helps you, Gregory. Oh, I see. There's a very good notes coming out here. All right, while you guys are chatting on the screen there, I'm going to... I just think there's something very, very... It doesn't show here in the cards, but I think there's something very stinky going on behind the scenes with people like this and the Zillagraphs and the Realtographs and so on. So I'm just going to quickly shuffle up here. Just give me a second. Well, I'm really glad we did that, Gregory. Just clear this one very quickly here, and then we're going to go on. All right, so it's like, to me, it's like that Sun card is very important for you to understand, Gregory. I feel like a lot of what's happening here is contingent upon you literally becoming like this radiant instrument of the healing power of love. No one else has to know about this. Maybe you, me, some of us here tonight. You don't have to go around telling everybody, hey, I'm an instrument of the healing power of love. I'm here to protect you through this situation. Don't do that. Instead, just be your most awesome Gregory self and let the aura do the work. All you have to do is be the instrument of the healing power of love. Invite the healing power of love to fill you up to the level of magnificence where you are like, people are blinded, almost blinded by your aura, but they don't know what's actually happening. And that aura of goodness and light and love and wholesomeness permeates the whole situation in such a way that those people on the taxing side who need to acquiesce, they will acquiesce and come to terms, find harmony and balance in order to take care of business and get it done so you can all move on with your lives. In other words, there's no point in getting into some kind of, aggressive fight about this. It's all about, it's almost like putting your hand on your shoulder, putting your arm around the shoulder of your client, spiritually speaking, like, don't worry, man, we got this. These lunatics in the tax department, they're completely insane. Don't worry, we got this. I got this other attorney guy, and we're going to figure it out. And your client is going like, I don't know, there's a big difference between 4.4 and 6.25. I can't take it. I can't take it. And you're like, you're fine. You're going to be fine. We got to figure it out. Just have to go through the process, blah, blah, so on and so on. That's what I feel here, Gregory. It's very, very important that you make it your business to radiate this enormous aura of sun, success, happiness, good outcomes, benevolence, light, love. Okay? Anyway, there's your reading. Thank you, everybody. We're going to wrap it up now. That's the end. We did 3 readings tonight and a bunch of astrological conversation. Well, monologues from me. There you go. Take care, everybody. I hope to see you sometime during the week. If not, certainly on Sunday. All the best. If anyone needs to reach me, you know where to go. I'll show you. That's my email, okay, right here. You can reach me anytime. A little book about at yahoo.com, okay? There you go. And we'll figure it out, all right? So, on that note, we're just going to wrap it up here. I'm going to play some music, and you guys can chat amongst yourselves, and then I'm going to close down the stream for the evening, and we'll go from there. Okie dokie. Thank you. Go. That's all right. Thank you, sir.